Hey guys, it's me. Today I'm going to complain about Genji for about 8 minutes. Now, I saw Greed also made a video talking about the whole balance patch changes, and I actually had this idea before you made it, so I'm not copying him. Pretty much what I wanted to say was, Genji is the only DPS that can contest high ground, okay? You can't really put Tracer in this category, because she has to actually go up steps. He's the only one that can actually dash up, jump, get in your face, and force you off the angle. There is no other DPS in the game that can do that, as well as him, or just in general at all. Now, unfortunately, because this is the case, he gets hit with a lot of nerfs and a lot of buffs, and they can't seem to balance him properly. The most recent patch being the perfect example. As Greed said himself, dash and deflect are meant to work in harmony together. If you fuck one up, you got the other one to back yourself up with. But it's now disrupted the whole flow of the entire character, and it's also fucked up my muscle memory. So I'm not touching him for at least 3 months until they fix him again. The other way you can combat this problem is if you find someone of equal lethality, if you want to use that word, let's say. What I mean by that is either you make a character that is similar to him. I say similar, but similar function. So you force other DPS off angles, and that way there is another alternative for people that can't or don't really want to pick up Genji. You could argue, well, you could just have Hazard in this situation. Thing is, we're talking about DPS here, which is the main problem. Well, can't you put Sombra in this category? No, because she's kind of shit anyway. I would say Sombra is better at denying a tank space, harassing supports, so to speak. I wouldn't say she's the type of character you would use to contest space like that. So you can't really put her in that category. Which brings me back to Genji. My original point is for someone to go and contest a really oppressive Widow, Kree, Soldier, anyone that's absolutely smoking the team, you would go Genji. With him in a bad spot, it really causes for this boring meta, which we're in now, and I absolutely hate. People act like he's easy to play. He's easy to play, but hard to master. So it's not as if anyone can just pick him up after 10 minutes of playing him and kind of get the gist of it. It takes a good bit of practice to actually have some sort of substantial outcome on your games with him. And besides, who doesn't like watching a high skill Genji player? When I'm having my chicken noodles and eggs, that's what I want to watch. Look here. I don't know why Blizzard has this obsession where they just don't reward high skill characters. The only character I can think of off the top of my head that's been relatively unchanged, because they've been fairly balanced pretty much for the whole lifespan, is Tracer. Now, Tracer is as good as the individual. There is no skill ceiling. Same with Genji as well. They're both very high skill characters, hence why they're such a high carry potential character, right? If someone has invested that amount of time to become good at that character, they should therefore be rewarded and be able to carry the game. But for whatever reason, Blizzard seem to not want to reward people that want to invest a lot of time and become good at someone. One of the reasons being, or should I say a handful of reasons being, they can be seen as oppressive, obnoxious, just pure domination in lobbies, which I can understand from a casual player's perspective. But if it's a competitive game, why does that actually matter? And I'm sure Blizzard would respond by saying, oh, we need to cater for the casuals that buy the skins, they hop on, they play here and there, they don't take it as seriously as competitive players above fucking Diamond. Now, the flip side to this problem, or should I say situation, it's not really a problem yet, is at the top end of the scale, it creates a very bland meta. You can see this right now with fucking Poke. It's so brain dead and boring. Freya spam, Hanzo spam. I'm good at playing Hanzo. He's so broken, but it's great. But let's face it, the current meta does not really take a lot of skill. It doesn't involve a lot of hand-eye coordination. It's literally aim at a choke and you press left click or right trigger if you're on console. Now, what some of you may be thinking is, well, if we keep the high skill characters very well balanced, doesn't that mean they're going to be the meta? Well, not really, because not everyone has all fucking day to learn something. To be honest with you, with the more time you invest in the game anyway, you learn how to deal with these problems, or you learn how to deal with these oppressive characters. Hence why everyone should be on the balanced playing field, ideally. But of course, with a game this complex, it's not really that simple. So even if they were the meta, you would eventually get to a point where you know how to deal with them. And once you overcome that obstacle, that will probably lead you to your rank up, and then you have a whole new set of problems. A side point anyway, what is once a casual player, or who is a casual player, will eventually improve at their own pace. So when they do eventually reach the top end of the scale, or a higher end of the scale, they will experience this problem as well. So it's a constant cycle. The point I'm getting at here is, it's always better to balance for the top end of the scale. Simply being, what is for once, will not forever will be. Or whatever the fuck the quote is. Pretty much what I'm implying is, people will not be shit forever. They will always improve at their own pace. Therefore, if you keep balancing for the casuals, it's just worse for the general long-term health of the game. As you can see, probably one of the factors that this game has dropped off massively in player base, but it is doing better than Marvel Rivals at the moment. So let's just put that there. Blizzard have openly said they balanced the game of pick weight. Fuck me. Pick rate and win rate, not right. Sort it out, bro. Widowmaker being a prime example. She's always banned on the maps that she's good on, and she's not really picked on the maps that she's banned on. So therefore, her pick rate and win rate is dog piss. But I'm pretty sure everyone who plays the game, and everyone who's watching this right now, we all know how AIDS is fucking it to play against a good Widow. Hero bans are there for a reason, okay? If Genji is seen as way too oppressive in the lower ranks, hero bans exist. Problem solved. I don't really see why higher elo players should be punished. I don't really see why people that play the game religiously, they practice religiously, should be punished. It makes no sense. I'll be honest, I haven't played Genji in a good 6 months, okay? He is just not good enough. Even pre-nerf, he wasn't good enough. This whole patch was completely pointless to include him, to be honest with you. But the reason I'm making this video and the reason it's a problem is because it allows the other players, it allows the other characters in the meta at the moment just to have free reign, and it's really, really draining. I love this game. I really do. Okay, I spend literally all my free time playing this, making videos and whatever. In order for Blizzard to actually understand, or maybe get a better idea on how to balance the game a bit better, they should probably ask input from other players, not necessarily the casuals, but people that actually spend a lot of time on this platform. Now, I'm not saying to completely disregard them, because of course the casuals are important. They're obviously the main money driver for revenue, etc., and keeping the game running. But of course, it's always beneficial to get input from a lot of different perspectives. To conclude my thoughts of the most recent patch notes, and obviously particularly Genji, being on the giving end and the receiving end, obviously playing him and playing against him, very good ones, very shit ones. His kit overall is perfect. With the way Genji is designed, in the lower elos, he can be seen as really dominant because people don't know how to deal with him, and obviously in the higher elos, because his kit is so dumbed down now, and people know how to deal with him anyway, he's not really that big of an issue. I wouldn't necessarily say that he needs a rework in the slightest, to be honest with you. The 8-second cooldown on both his cooldowns were basically mandatory in order for him to actually be effective. Of course, he was really dominant in Season 1 because we had the DPS passive where you get reload speed and movement speed buff when you got an Elim, but obviously that's not a thing anymore. Ever since then, he's been kind of shit. He's been overshadowed by many others, so he hasn't really found a place in the meta. The most recent season we've had is probably the only season that he's actually been viable. To be honest with you, I think Blizzard were looking at the wrong thing. Maybe they could have changed his perks, but I think the deflect cooldown was a bit unnecessary. With him in the current state that he's in, obviously, which isn't very good, we're going to see a lot of Soldier, probably going to see a lot of Kree, probably see a lot more Hanzo, a lot more Widow, maybe a bit more Zen. Zen is fucking disgusting, by the way. Discord is ridiculously good, but obviously he's a very slow, very big hitbox character, so it's not really a problem. Definitely just going to see a lot more poke, because obviously people don't want to play him, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Hopefully one day they can find the sweet spot where he's actually good, but he's not too good if the person is too good. That seems a long way away. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've come across a Genji in my game where he's absolutely just bent everyone over sideways. It's not really that common, so for them to have this sort of outcome is quite surprising. Anyways guys, that has been me. Hopefully you have enjoyed this rant. As you know, Discord's in the description. I read every comment, leave a comment. Interested in knowing what you have to say. Peace and love. I'm out. Safe.